If you don't get better today, nothing gets better tomorrow. That's the truth most people feel but rarely face. They feel stuck, not because they're lazy or broken, but because they live in waiting mode. They wait for the right mood, the right timing, the right energy, the right version of themselves to magically appear. They scroll, they distract, they dream, but they don't move. Days pass, weeks pass, years pass, and their life still feels the same. This is not a book for people who want to stay in that loop. This is for you if you are tired of just surviving the day, tired of ending each night with that quiet frustration that says, I could have done more, I could have been better. This is for you if you want to wake up with purpose and go to bed with pride. If you want to stop living on autopilot and start living on intention. Every idea in these chapters is simple, direct, and built for real life, not for perfect conditions you don't have. There is no fluff, no fake hype, just the honest truth about what it actually takes to improve every single day. You're not here to scroll, you're here to grow. And growth does not happen someday. It happens in days like this one, in hours like the one you're in right now, when you decide you're done waiting and ready to act. Your life changes one honest day at a time, and this is about learning exactly how to build those days, how to show up when you don't feel ready, how to handle what's in front of you without delay, how to clean the quiet mess that slows you down, how to finally follow through, give full effort, challenge excuses, speak the truth, act instead of over-planning, protect your time, and close each day knowing you really tried. You don't rise by accident, you rise by choice. And those choices begin here, in this moment, with you deciding that today, unlike all the other days you drifted, is going to be different. Chapter 1. Show up today, even when you don't feel ready. The first rule of getting better every single day is simple. Progress does not wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't care how you feel when you wake up. It doesn't care if you're motivated. It doesn't pause because you're tired, stressed, sad, busy, or unsure. Growth begins the second you decide to show up, not the second you finally feel ready. Readiness is not a mood, it's a decision. Most people misunderstand that. They wait to feel powerful before they act. They wait for confidence before they speak. They wait for motivation before they train. They wait for clarity before they start. And while they wait, life moves, time moves, opportunities fade. Meanwhile, a different kind of person is quietly pulling ahead. They don't wait to feel like it. They move anyway. They show up for their commitments. They show up for their plans. They show up for their workouts. They do it when they're tired, when they're afraid, when they're distracted, when nobody is checking, when nobody is cheering. They don't need perfect conditions to take the next step. They understand that the moments that count the most are the ones that feel the hardest. When your mind is screaming to stay in bed, when your body is heavy, when your friends are relaxing, when your mood is low, that's exactly when the decision matters. Because that decision doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your identity. Every time you act while feeling unready, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by your feelings. You build real confidence, not the fake kind built on compliments or luck, but the deep kind that comes from doing what you said you would do, especially when it was difficult. You look in the mirror and you don't just hope you'll change, you see evidence that you already are. You didn't hide, you didn't quit, you didn't run. You showed up. And that simple fact, repeated day after day, is what creates a person who rises.
Showing up doesn't mean you have to move mountains every day. It doesn't mean every session is intense, every task is huge, or every effort is dramatic. It means that every day, without fail, you do something real that moves your life forward. One honest action, one meaningful step, one piece of work that actually matters. The size does not matter nearly as much as the consistency. A small step taken in truth beats a giant plan left untouched. But you must protect your momentum. The most dangerous habit you can build is skipping just this once. That one skipped workout becomes 3. That one delayed task becomes a week. That one missed promise becomes a new identity. I'm someone who doesn't really follow through. The war is in your mind. That's the real battlefield. There's a voice that says, "You're tired, do it later. Today doesn't matter. Missing once won't hurt." If you listen, that voice gets stronger. It becomes your default. It becomes your character. But if you challenge it by acting anyway, it gets weaker. Every time you move forward in spite of resistance, you build discipline. You build habits. You build a new standard. Showing up becomes normal, not special. Discipline becomes automatic, not forced. And when you reach that point, your life begins to shift fast. It's not luck, it's not magic, it's repetition. Showing up when it's cold, showing up when it's early, showing up when no one notices, showing up when motivation is at 0. That is how you earn the right to call yourself serious about your future. You're not here to live soft, you're here to rise. And rising always starts with a simple, non-negotiable rule. I show up today, especially when I don't feel ready. Handle what's in front of you without delay. If you want to make progress every single day, you must stop pushing off the things that are already yours to handle. The most important part of your life is not the past you can't change, and not the future you can only imagine. It's the task that's right in front of you right now. The email waiting in your inbox, the assignment that's half finished, the room that's messy, the form you need to submit, the hard conversation you keep dodging. Every time you look at something that needs your attention and say later, you send a quiet message to yourself. This doesn't really matter, or I'll only act when I feel like it. That message might feel small, but it spreads. It becomes how you treat everything. Suddenly, you're not just behind on one thing, you're behind on many. You feel overwhelmed, not because life attacked you out of nowhere, but because you delayed dealing with what was already on your plate. Those tiny, avoidable delays stack into heavy stress. An unanswered message turns into 3. A 10-minute task becomes a cloud that follows you all day. A simple decision multiplies in your mind until it feels impossible. You try to focus on big goals, but your brain is stuck holding all the little things you didn't finish. That invisible weight steals your energy. You think you're unmotivated or burned out, but sometimes you're just buried under things you chose not to handle.
The key to changing that is building a habit of fast response. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to handle everything at once. But when something reasonably small and clear is in front of you, train yourself to deal with it quickly. Answer the email, wash the dish, pay the bill, finish the last 10 minutes of the workout, make the call, have the short conversation, make the best decision you can with what you know, and move on. Ask yourself honestly, are you thinking to prepare or are you thinking to avoid? There is a difference between planning and hiding. You don't need a huge strategy to win your day. You need execution. Real growth doesn't come from big ideas that never leave your notebook. It comes from the tasks you close. You are not short on time. You are leaking time through tiny delays. You don't need a new opportunity. You need to stop wasting the ones already in your hands. This isn't about anxiety or panic. It's about urgency. The clear understanding that time is moving, that leaving things undone quietly drains you, that every piece of unfinished work pulls at you. When you handle what's in front of you, you clear mental space, you gain momentum, you begin to trust yourself again as someone who doesn't run from responsibility. Discipline is created in the small moments where you could have delayed but didn't. The best version of you doesn't endlessly push things off. They step in. They respect their tasks. They keep their world light by not carrying what they could have put down today. That is how you turn ordinary days into days of real movement. Fix the small mess that keeps slowing you down. People often think that only big problems hold them back. Major failures, huge obstacles, serious drama.
But in reality, it's usually the quiet, small messes that do the most damage. The cluttered room, the pile of clothes, the chaotic desk, the unsorted files, the apps all over your phone, the unhealthy habit you keep brushing off because it's not that bad. These things look harmless, but they are not. Every time you walk past a mess you created and leave it there, your mind registers it. It doesn't forget. It holds it in the background like a small alarm that never stops ringing. You tell yourself it's no big deal. You convince yourself you can still focus, but your brain is tracking all of it, the unfinished, the undisorganized, the unresolved. Over time, those tiny alarms add up. You sit down to work and feel strangely uneasy. You try to focus on something important, but your thoughts are scattered. You mistake this for a lack of discipline or talent, when part of the problem is simple. Your life is too messy for your mind to breathe. You are trying to run with unnecessary weight tied to your ankles.
Fix the small mess that keeps slowing you down. People often think that only big problems hold them back, major failures, huge obstacles, serious drama. But in reality, it's usually the quiet, small messes that do the most damage. The cluttered room, the pile of clothes, the chaotic desk, the unsorted files, the apps all over your phone, the unhealthy habit you keep brushing off because it's not that bad. These things look harmless, but they are not. Every time you walk past a mess you created and leave it there, your mind registers it. It doesn't forget. It holds it in the background like a small alarm that never stops ringing. You tell yourself it's no big deal. You convince yourself you can still focus, but your brain is tracking all of it, the unfinished, the disorganized, the unresolved. Over time, those tiny alarms add up. You sit down to work and feel strangely uneasy. You try to focus on something important, but your thoughts are scattered. You mistake this for a lack of discipline or talent when part of the problem is simple. Your life is too messy for your mind to breathe. You are trying to run with unnecessary weight tied to your ankles. Fixing the small mess isn't about being perfect, obsessive, or neat for appearances. It's about respecting yourself enough to clear the friction that you quietly created. You don't always need more motivation or more tools to move faster. Sometimes you just need less resistance. Look around your space and your routines. Be honest about what you've been stepping around for weeks or months. The drawer you never open because it's a disaster, the bag you won't unpack, the subscriptions you don't use but keep paying for, the toxic conversation you haven't clarified. These aren't just annoyances, they are blocks. They are unfinished loops your brain keeps revisiting, draining your focus and your confidence. The danger isn't only in the clutter itself, it's in what it does to your identity. When you tolerate mess, you quietly tell yourself that you are someone who leaves things half done, someone who doesn't finish, someone who looks away instead of cleaning up. That belief then leaks into bigger areas of your life. You start hesitating more, you trust yourself less. But there is good news. Every small mess you fix sends a new signal. I follow through. I care about the details. I close what I open. Cleaning your room, organizing a folder, clearing your inbox, canceling what you don't use, tightening a broken habit, these are not meaningless. They are how you regain control over your world. Progress doesn't always look like some big achievement. Sometimes it looks like a cleaner desk, an empty to-do list, a reset routine. When your environment is lighter and your systems are cleaner, your energy flows more freely, your thoughts sharpen, your decisions speed up. You stop stepping around the same problem every day and start walking straight ahead. That's how you reclaim power, not by ignoring what's small, but by repairing it before it grows into something that truly holds you back.
Follow through on the things you said yesterday. If you want to grow, your words must start meaning something, especially to you. It's easy to talk when you're inspired. It's easy to write lists of goals, to say, I'll start tomorrow, to plan out a new routine late at night when your energy is high and reality is far away. But your life is not measured by what you say you will do. It is measured by what you actually finish. The gap between your plans and your actions is where self-respect is built or broken. Every time you promise yourself something and don't do it, a small crack appears in your belief. You may not see it immediately, but over time those cracks spread. You slowly start to see your own goals as optional, your own word as weak. You stop fully believing yourself when you say, "Next week I'll change," because your past has shown you otherwise. That's when goals begin to feel like wishes instead of commitments. That's when you slip into a pattern of talking big and moving small. And the problem isn't your potential, it's your pattern. Following through on what you said yesterday is how you repair that pattern. It doesn't matter if your promise was big or small. Did you say you would wake up earlier? Then get up, even if you feel exhausted. Did you say you'd study for an hour? Then sit down and study for as much of that hour as you can. Did you say you'd message someone, clean something, finish something, decide something? Do it. Maybe your schedule changed and you can't do it perfectly. That's okay. What matters is that you do something real that respects your original intention. If you set an hour and only have 30 minutes, then give those 30 minutes your full attention. This isn't about checking a box. It's about showing your mind that your word is not cheap. Most people want respect from others while constantly disrespecting themselves. They want confidence, but keep feeding patterns that create doubt. The only way to fix that is to treat your own promises like a contract. You don't casually break contracts. You don't twist them when you don't feel like honoring them. You respect them because they define the relationship. Your relationship with yourself is no different. When you follow through, even in small ways, you create internal proof that you are reliable. You become someone you can count on. That identity is far more powerful than any motivational speech. You stop needing to pump yourself up because you know from experience that you'll act when you say you will. That is how discipline is born. Not from saying, "I'll change my life," but from doing what you said yesterday, today. Give full effort instead of just going through the motions. Showing up is the starting point, but it's not the finish line. You can be physically present and still be wasting your time. You can sit in the gym, sit at your desk, sit in a meeting, and still give almost nothing of your real energy. From the outside, it looks like effort. You're there, you're moving, you're technically doing the thing. But deep down, you know the truth. You're coasting, you're half engaged, you're checking boxes. And then you wonder why nothing changes. The difference between average and excellent, between stuck and growing, is rarely the number of hours. It's the quality of those hours. It's the intensity, the focus, the care you bring to them. A lazy 2-hour session is weaker than a locked-in 30 minutes. Going through the motions might make you feel less guilty, but it doesn't build the life you want. You don't just need time in the game, you need heart in the game. Ask yourself when you last gave full effort to something, truly. Not the rushed, distracted, phone-in-hand kind of effort. Not the good enough to get by kind, but the kind where you shut everything else off and put your whole self into the task. The kind where, at the end, you felt proud because you know you left nothing on the table. That feeling is powerful. It's where real confidence is born, because you can't fake it. You either gave your best or you didn't. And that honest knowledge shapes how you see yourself. The reason many people feel empty is not because their tasks are small, but because their effort is small. They're constantly doing things with half attention, half heart, half care. They never tap into the deeper level of energy they actually have, so they start believing that they're just not that driven. But the drive exists. It's just buried under the habit of low effort. When you push yourself to do something with real intensity, lifting with focus, studying deeply, working with precision, listening fully in a conversation, you remind yourself what you're capable of. You remember that you have another gear. Over time, giving full effort doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means being honest with what the moment asks for and giving it fully. It means when you work, you actually work. When you rest, you truly rest. You stop living in that blurry middle zone where you're always kind of on but never really all in. The world is full of people who are present but not engaged. If you want to separate yourself, bring real effort. Your work will show it. Your body will show it. Your results will show it. Most importantly, your own sense of self will show it. You'll know you're not just passing time. You're building something.
Challenge your excuses before they steal your day. Excuses rarely feel like excuses in the moment. They feel like good reasons. They sound soft, safe, logical. I'm tired. I'll start later. Today's not right. I'll wait until I'm more ready. Missing once won't matter. These phrases don't yell, they whisper. But those whispers are often the start of an entire wasted day. If you don't catch them early, they grow roots. The first excuse you agree with opens the door to more. Skipping one task becomes skipping 3. Moving one workout becomes moving the whole plan. Delaying one call becomes ignoring it completely. And by the end of the day, your progress didn't disappear in one big moment. It died slowly in 100 tiny decisions where you let comfort win. You have to understand that you are constantly standing at a fork in the road. Every time you hear that inner voice saying, "Not now," you are choosing between action and avoidance. Most people don't even realize they're choosing. They just surrender. They believe every thought their mind offers, especially the soft ones that protect them from discomfort. That is how a lazy day becomes a lazy week, and then a lazy lifestyle. To break that pattern, you must get used to challenging your excuses in real time. The moment you think, "I don't feel like it," pause and ask, "Is that actually true, or am I just avoiding discomfort?" When your mind says, "You're too tired," check the facts. Have you really done enough to earn that rest, or is your body just resisting effort? When you catch yourself saying later, challenge it with, "Why not now?" You don't have to scream at yourself, but you do have to be honest. Your excuses are not wise, they are afraid. They come from the part of you that wants to stay safe, unchallenged, untouched by failure. That part of you will always exist. You can't delete it, but you don't have to obey it. Discipline is not the absence of excuses, it's the habit of acting anyway. You defeat excuses through movement, not debate. The quickest way to shut them up is to do something small in the direction you've been avoiding. Lace your shoes and walk. Open the file and write one paragraph. Make one call. Start the task. Once you move, the excuse loses power because its main goal was to stop you from starting. The more often you act in spite of those soft voices, the weaker they become. Eventually, your first reaction to discomfort shifts from hide to move. That is a massive turning point. It doesn't mean you never rest. It means you rest by choice, not by excuse. You stop giving your weaker thoughts the final say. You stop letting imaginary fear decide your real life. Every time you challenge an excuse and act anyway, you're teaching yourself a new truth. I may not feel like it, but I can still do it. That is the mindset of someone who grows every single day.
Say what needs to be said without overthinking. A huge amount of stress in life does not come from what happens, but from what stays unsaid. You know something is wrong in a relationship, but you avoid mentioning it. You need help, but you stay silent because you don't want to bother anyone. You feel hurt, disrespected, or confused, but you smile and act fine. All of that silence has a cost. Unspoken truth does not vanish. It sits inside you. It grows heavier. It twists your thoughts. It makes you overanalyze every interaction. You replay conversations in your mind, imagining what you could have said, what they might have thought. Over time, your chest feels tight, your mind feels crowded, and your peace disappears. Not because of one big event, but because you refused to use your voice. Overthinking becomes your daily habit. You imagine every possible reaction other people might have. You rehearse disaster scenarios that never happen. You wait for the perfect moment to say what matters. And while you wait, the opportunity passes. The problem grows larger. The conversation becomes harder. Growth requires communication. Saying what needs to be said is not about being rude or dramatic. It's about being honest, with respect, with calmness, but with clarity. One uncomfortable but truthful sentence can be better than weeks of silent resentment. If something has been sitting in your mind for days, that is your sign. You're not confused, you're scared, and you cannot live a strong life while being controlled by the fear of speaking honestly. You are not responsible for managing everyone's emotions. You are responsible for expressing your reality with kindness and clarity. People cannot read your mind. They won't magically know your needs, boundaries, or feelings. If you don't say it, it often doesn't exist to them. Speaking your truth builds trust, not just with others, but within yourself. Every time you say what you really mean, without attacking, without hiding, you prove to yourself that you can handle tension. You prove that your voice has value. You step out of passive living and into active leadership of your own life. Will you always say it perfectly? No. You will say some things awkwardly. You will wish you phrased other things better. But that's how you learn. Silence teaches you nothing except how to stay small. Practice speaking early instead of waiting until you explode. Small, honest conversations today prevent big, painful ones later. The more you express what's real, the lighter you feel. You stop carrying so much unspoken weight. You stop guessing and start knowing. You stop pretending and start living in alignment with who you really are. That's not just communication. That's courage.
Do something right now instead of planning forever. Planning feels safe. It feels smart. It feels like progress. You grab a notebook, write goals, outline ideas, watch videos, read advice, and you tell yourself you're getting ready for your big move. But days pass, and you're still in that same planning phase, still refining the same strategy, still saying, "Soon I'll start." That's the trap. Preparation becomes your hiding place. As long as you're almost ready, you never have to risk failing. You never have to face disappointment. You never have to see what happens when your idea meets reality. But life doesn't reward people who think forever. It rewards people who do. Every meaningful change in your life, every real breakthrough started with one thing: an imperfect action, not a perfect plan, not total clarity, not complete confidence, just a decision to move. And that decision can happen at any moment, including right now. You already know enough to start. You have thought about this goal so many times that you could explain it in your sleep. You don't lack ideas, you lack motion. The questions that scare you, what if it doesn't work, what if I don't know enough, will not be answered in your head. They will be answered by doing, by testing, by trying, by failing and adjusting. Waiting for complete confidence before you act is like waiting to feel strong before you exercise. The strength comes from the exercise, not before it. In the same way, the confidence you're waiting for will only show up after you begin. So instead of asking, "What's the perfect plan?" ask, "What is one simple action I can take in the next 10 minutes?" Send the email, open the document, record the first video, step outside and walk, apply for the opportunity. Start the small version of what you've been dreaming about. Don't worry about step 50. You're not at step 50. You're at step 1. The path will not reveal itself while you sit still trying to predict every move. It reveals itself one step at a time to the person who actually moves. Every day you delay, the task in front of you grows larger in your mind. It becomes heavier, scarier, more impossible. But the moment you finally start, it usually feels lighter than you imagined. Action is the cure for anxiety built on overthinking. You've already spent enough time planning. Prove to yourself that you are done waiting by doing something now. Not perfect, not huge, just real. That is how you turn potential into progress.
Respect your time like your future depends on it. Time is not just what you see on a clock. It is your life, piece by piece, disappearing. Every hour you spend is a part of you never get back. You can recover money, rebuild relationships, restore your health, but you cannot rewind time. That's why how you use it matters so much. If you say you want a better future but treat your time like it's worthless, something doesn't match. Many people live as if they have endless chances. They waste hours in distractions, then say, "I'll get serious later." But later is not a real day. It's an idea. All you truly have is now, and the direction you choose for it. The person who understands this deeply doesn't become frantic, they become intentional. They stop moving through days on autopilot. They stop giving their best hours to random scrolling, empty conversations, or mindless habits that lead nowhere. They start asking, if I keep spending my time like this, where will I end up? Respecting your time does not mean working non-stop or treating rest like a sin. It means seeing the difference between rest and escape. Rest rebuilds you. Escape avoids your life. Only you can tell the difference for yourself. When you respect your time, you design your day with care. You choose a few important things and give them honest focus. You protect blocks of time from constant interruptions. You say no more often, not because you're selfish, but because you understand that saying yes to everything means saying no to what truly matters. You also become more careful about who and what gets your attention. Some people bring energy, others constantly drain it. Some activities grow you, others leave you empty. You start cutting the quiet thieves, mindless scrolling, arguments that lead nowhere, endless checking of notifications, tasks that look productive but are actually just comfortable. You don't have to become a robot, you just have to become awake. Track where your time actually goes, not where you think it goes. Let that reality hit you. If most of your hours are spent avoiding, numbing, or drifting, don't be surprised if your life feels stuck. But also don't feel doomed. You can change it one choice at a time. A focused 30 minutes can do more for your future than 3 distracted hours. A short but deep conversation can be worth more than a whole day of surface-level talk. The goal is not to fill every second. The goal is to stop throwing seconds away like they're cheap. They're not. They are your only currency. Spend them on growth, on creation, on learning, on connecting, on resting with intention. Respect your time today, and your future self will thank you louder than you can imagine.
Respect your time like your future depends on it. Time is not just what you see on a clock. It is your life, piece by piece, disappearing. Every hour you spend is a part of you you never get back. You can recover money, rebuild relationships, restore your health, but you cannot rewind time. That's why how you use it matters so much. If you say you want a better future but treat your time like it's worthless, something doesn't match. Many people live as if they have endless chances. They waste hours in distractions, then say, "I'll get serious later." But later is not a real day. It's an idea. All you truly have is now and the direction you choose for it. The person who understands this deeply doesn't become frantic. They become intentional. They stop moving through days on autopilot. They stop giving their best hours to random scrolling, empty conversations, or mindless habits that lead nowhere. They start asking, if I keep spending my time like this, where will I end up? Respecting your time does not mean working non-stop or treating rest like a sin. It means seeing the difference between rest and escape. Rest rebuilds you. Escape avoids your life. Only you can tell the difference for yourself. When you respect your time, you design your day with care. You choose a few important things and give them honest focus. You protect blocks of time from constant interruptions. You say no more often, not because you're selfish, but because you understand that saying yes to everything means saying no to what truly matters. You also become more careful about who and what gets your attention. Some people bring energy, others constantly drain it. Some activities grow you, others leave you empty. You start cutting the quiet thieves, mindless scrolling, arguments that lead nowhere, endless checking of notifications, tasks that look productive but are actually just comfortable. You don't have to become a robot, you just have to become awake. Track where your time actually goes, not where you think it goes.
Let that reality hit you. If most of your hours are spent avoiding, numbing, or drifting, don't be surprised if your life feels stuck. But also don't feel doomed. You can change it, one choice at a time. A focused 30 minutes can do more for your future than 3 distracted hours. A short but deep conversation can be worth more than a whole day of surface-level talk. The goal is not to fill every second. The goal is to stop throwing seconds away like they're cheap. They're not. They are your only currency. Spend them on growth, on creation, on learning, on connecting, on resting with intention. Respect your time today, and your future self will thank you louder than you can imagine. Close your day knowing you gave real effort. At the end of every day, when the noise is gone and it's just you and your thoughts, a simple question hangs in the air. Did I really try today? Not, did everything go right? Not, did I achieve all my goals? Just, did I honestly give what I had? The answer to that question shapes how you sleep, how you wake up, and how you see yourself. When you know you drifted, avoided, and coasted, you don't need anyone to judge you. You feel the disappointment. There's a heaviness in your chest, a quiet frustration that doesn't come from the outside world, but from the gap between what you could have brought and what you actually brought. That gap, if you ignore it, grows. It makes you restless. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes life feel dull and pointless, even when nothing is wrong on the surface. On the other hand, when you end a day knowing you showed up, not perfectly, not flawlessly, but sincerely, there's a different feeling. Even if your results are small, you feel stronger, you feel grounded, you feel like you're actually living, not just existing. Closing your day well is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things with real presence. It means you stop dragging yourself through tasks like a ghost and start bringing attention and care to what you touch. It means you stop lying to yourself with half-hearted effort and calling it good enough. It means if you said you would work on something, you did. If you needed to rest, you rested intentionally, not by collapsing into distraction. It means you chose courage over excuses at least once, maybe many times. You cannot control everything that happens in a day. Some days will be chaotic, some plans will fall apart, but your effort is always in your control, and that effort is your signature. It tells you who you are becoming. If you habitually end days with avoidance, you're training yourself to be someone who shrinks from responsibility. If you habitually end days with honest effort, you're training yourself to be someone who steps up. Before you sleep, take a moment to review, not to beat yourself up, but to be truthful. Ask, where did I show up strong? Where did I hide? What one thing can I do differently tomorrow? Then let it go and rest, knowing tomorrow is another chance to practice. Confidence does not fall from the sky. It is built night by night in the quiet satisfaction of knowing I did my part today. That is the feeling you are chasing, not perfection, but integrity. One honest day at a time. Everything in this book comes down to one simple reality. Your life changes when your days change, not your someday, not your next year, your days. The way you show up when you don't feel ready, the way you handle what's in front of you, the way you fix small messes, the way you follow through, the way you give effort, the way you challenge excuses, the way you speak, the way you act instead of just planning, the way you respect time, and the way you close your day. These are not small things. They are everything. They decide whether you stay stuck or move forward, whether you live in regret or in growth. You don't need a different life to start living better. You need a different pattern for the life you already have. And patterns are built through repetition, one choice at a time, one action at a time, one honest day at a time. You are not broken for struggling. You are not weak for feeling resistance. Everyone hears the same voices. Do it later. You're tired. It's too hard. People will judge you. You're not ready. The difference between those who rise and those who stay the same is not that one group never hears those voices. It's that they stop obeying them. They act anyway. They show up anyway. They clean up anyway. They speak anyway. They respect their time anyway. They close their day anyway. And with every anyway, they build a self they can trust. That can be you, not later, now. You don't have to fix your whole life in one move. Just win today a little more than you did yesterday. Do one real thing that moves you forward. Keep one promise to yourself. Clean one mess. Challenge one excuse. Give full effort to one task. If you repeat that, your days will change. If your days change, your life changes. If you don't get better today, nothing gets better tomorrow. But if you do even a little better today, if you act like your life matters right now, tomorrow doesn't stand a chance. It has to get better, because you are better. And that's where everything begins.
If you don't get better today, nothing gets better tomorrow. That's not just a catchy line. It's the reality most people feel but never confront directly. Many people are stuck not because they are lazy, weak, or incapable, but because they are always waiting. They wait for the right mood, the right timing, the right energy, the right motivation, the right season of life where everything feels calm and clear. While they wait, days pass quietly, weeks blur together, years disappear. The same problems stay, the same habits remain, the same dreams stay on paper or in their heads. One day they look back and realize they have spent more time thinking about change than actually changing. This book is for people who are tired of that. It is for you if you feel that you are meant for more than just surviving the day and scrolling away your time. It is for you if you want to wake up with direction and go to bed with pride, knowing you did something real to move your life forward. You will not find fake hype or complicated theories here, only straight truth in simple language about how to get better every single day, no matter where you start. You will learn how to show up even when you do not feel ready, how to handle what is in front of you without delay, how to clean the small messes that quietly slow you down, how to follow through on what you say, how to give full effort instead of pretending that motion is the same as progress, how to challenge your own excuses, how to speak the truth instead of overthinking, how to act now instead of planning forever, how to respect your time like it really is your life, and how to close each day knowing you did not run from yourself. You do not rise by accident, you rise by choice. Choice in your thoughts, in your habits, in your actions. And those choices do not live in someday. They live in today, in this very moment, where you either continue your old pattern or begin a new one honest day at a time. If you truly want to get better every single day, the first truth you must accept is that progress does not care how you feel. It does not wait for your motivation to appear. It does not slow down because you are tired, sad, confused, or busy. Progress begins the second you decide to show up. Most people make the mistake of waiting to feel ready before they act. They wait for clarity before they start a project, wait to feel confident before they speak, wait to feel strong before they train, wait to feel inspired before they work on their goals. But readiness is not a mood you sit around and hope for. It is a decision you make in the middle of all your imperfect feelings. The people who grow are not the ones who always feel great. They are the ones who move even when they don't. They show up to the workout when their body wants to stay in bed. They sit down to do the work when their mind is scattered. They keep their commitments when no one is checking on them. They do not need perfect conditions, attention, or applause. They understand that the moments when they feel the least ready are often the most important. Your real test is not when everything is easy and you feel motivated. Your real test is when your mind is heavy, your energy is low, and the voice in your head tells you to skip just this one time.
That is the moment that decides who you are becoming. If you act, you send yourself a powerful message. My feelings do not control me. My decisions do. Every time you show up, in spite of resistance, you train yourself to be stronger than your mood. Showing up, even in a small way, is not about having a perfect performance. It is about not disappearing, not hiding, not quitting. One honest action matters more than 100 perfect thoughts that never leave your head. There is no perfect later waiting for you. There is only now and what you do with it.
The real battle always begins in your mind. Before you take a step, lift a weight, open a book, or start a task, there is a quiet argument happening inside you. One voice says, "You're tired. You can skip today. You can start tomorrow. It's not a big deal." The other voice says, "You said you want to change. This is your chance. Just begin." Whichever voice you obey becomes stronger. If you keep listening to the soft, comfortable voice that protects your laziness, that voice slowly becomes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who can't stick to anything, someone who always finds a reason to delay, someone who wants change but never really commits. But every time you ignore that weak voice and act anyway, you weaken it. You prove that you are not fragile. You prove that you can feel doubt, fear, and tiredness and still move forward. Over time, showing up becomes your new normal. It no longer feels like a huge battle every single time. It becomes part of who you are. This does not mean you have to make giant progress every day. You don't need to move mountains, but you must do one real thing that moves you forward, one honest step, one meaningful effort. If it is small but real, and you repeat it consistently, it will carry you further than the biggest plan that you never touch. The danger is not in moving slowly. The danger is in staying still. Every day you skip, you lose a little trust in yourself. Every promise you break to yourself lowers your standard. But each day you show up, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, you are building momentum. You are building an identity as someone reliable, someone serious, someone who acts. That identity is more valuable than any single result, because once you become that person, results are just a matter of time. So stop waiting to feel ready. Start showing up as if your future depends on today's actions, because it does. To get better every day, you must stop pushing away the things that are already yours to handle. Most people live with a long list of small tasks and decisions they keep avoiding. Answering that email, cleaning up that corner of the room, finishing the last 10% of a project, calling the person they've been meaning to call, paying a bill, booking an appointment, having a short, honest conversation. None of these things are huge by themselves, but when you carry them unfinished day after day, they become heavy. They take space in your mind. You might not feel it clearly, but your brain is constantly tracking them in the background. I still haven't done that. It's still waiting. That is mental clutter, and it drains energy you could have used for real progress. People think delaying small tasks is harmless. I'll do it later. It's not urgent. It can wait. But that delay slowly turns into a habit. You start dealing with everything the same way. Suddenly, you're behind on many things, not because new problems appeared, but because you kept postponing the old ones. Something that would have taken 10 minutes now feels like a mountain because you added days of avoidance to it. The solution is simple, but not always easy. Train yourself to act fast on what's right in front of you. If it's clear, simple, and your responsibility, don't build a story around it. Just handle it. Answer the message, wash the dishes, clear the desk, complete the last part of the assignment, make the phone call, take the decision with the best information you have right now, and move on. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop letting tiny responsibilities pile up into heavy pressure. Handling what is in front of you keeps your life light and your mind clear, which makes it much easier to focus on your bigger goals.
Ask yourself honestly, are you using thinking as a tool or as an excuse? Planning has its place, but there is a thin line between thoughtful preparation and clever avoidance. If you keep telling yourself, I'm still preparing, I'm still organizing, I'm still getting everything in order, but the simple tasks in front of you are untouched, you are not preparing, you are delaying. Life does not reward people who endlessly think about action but never follow through. It rewards people who execute. People who grow fast are not always the smartest or most talented. They're just the ones who get things done, one by one, without over-dramatizing every step. They treat what's on their plate as their responsibility, not as something to be constantly rescheduled. This doesn't mean you must rush in a panic. There is a difference between panic and urgency. Panic is chaos and fear. Urgency is clarity. Urgency says, time is moving. This task is mine. Let me handle it with focus. Then I'll be free to move on. When you live with urgency, you stop leaking time through meaningless delays. You stop carrying the weight of things you should have finished days ago. You stop waking up already behind. Instead, you build a life where the things in front of you get done, your load stays manageable, and your energy remains available for real growth. The more you practice this, the less overwhelmed you feel. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped abandoning your responsibilities. You stepped into them. You owned them. That habit of handling what's in front of you without delay is one of the strongest foundations you can build if you truly want to improve every day. Not all obstacles in your life are big, obvious problems. Many of them are quiet, small messes you have learned to live with. The clutter in your room you step around every morning, the drawer you never open because it's disorganized, the notes and files scattered across your devices, the random tabs always open on your browser, the bad habit you tell yourself is not that serious. You think these things don't matter much, but your brain notices them every time. Each little mess is a tiny reminder that something is out of order, something is unfinished, something is being ignored. You may tell yourself that you are fine with it, but your mind still carries it. This constant background noise makes it harder to focus, harder to think clearly, harder to feel calm. You sit down to do something important, but you feel slightly restless. You get distracted more easily. You feel overwhelmed and you can't explain why. In many cases, it's because your life is full of small, unresolved things pulling at your attention. Progress does not only come from adding new goals and habits, it also comes from removing the frictions that waste your energy. Fixing the small mess is not about being perfect or becoming obsessed with organization. It's about respecting yourself enough to clean up what you created, about creating an environment that supports your focus instead of fighting it. When you clean a corner of your room, organize your tools, sort your files, clear your phone, or simplify a routine, you are not just tidying physical space, you are freeing mental space. Suddenly, you don't have to step over the same problem every day. Your path is a little more open. Your mind is a little more relaxed. That extra space can now be used for thinking, creating, and taking action.
There is another reason small messes matter so much. They shape the way you see yourself. When you constantly live among unfinished tasks, scattered objects, and half-fixed habits, you start to feel like a person who doesn't finish things, a person who lives in chaos, a person who always has something out of place. You might not say it out loud, but your actions send that message to your own mind every day. I leave things, I avoid things, I don't follow through. That belief then affects everything you touch. You hesitate more, you doubt yourself more. You start thinking big change is impossible because you can't even handle the small stuff. But you can flip this story. Every small mess you fix is a chance to write a new identity. I finish what I start. I clean up after myself. I take care of details. I don't run from what's mine. It might be as simple as actually opening that messy drawer and organizing it, or finally clearing out your inbox, or deleting apps you don't use, or tightening up a loose routine that keeps tripping you up. None of these actions require special talent. They only require attention and willingness.
Yet the impact is huge because they rebuild trust between you and yourself. When your environment is cleaner and your systems are simpler, you forget fewer things, you feel less stressed, and you respond to life with more strength. You are no longer weighed down by silent chaos. You can focus on the work and the growth that truly matter. That is why fixing small messes is not a waste of time. It is one of the fastest ways to free your mind and speed up your progress. You cannot rise on top of a messy foundation. Clean it, strengthen it, and then build higher than you ever thought you could. If you're serious about growth, you have to treat your own words like a contract, not a suggestion, because your life is not shaped by what you say you'll do, but by what you actually follow through on. It's easy to talk when you're inspired, to write goals when you're in a good mood, to tell yourself, tomorrow I'll change. But every promise you break to yourself quietly damages your self-respect. Over time, you begin to doubt yourself, not because you lack potential, but because your actions keep proving your own words wrong. Goals start to feel like wishes, plans start to feel fake, and you stop taking yourself seriously. Every time you say, I'll wake up early, I'll work out, I'll finish that task, and then don't, you weaken your internal standard and train your mind to believe you're unreliable. But the opposite is just as true. Every time you do what you said you would, even when it's hard or inconvenient, you build internal proof that you can trust yourself. That proof is the foundation of real confidence and discipline. It's not hype, it's history. Following through doesn't mean everything must be perfect. If you said you'd work for an hour and you only have 30 minutes, use those 30 with full focus. If you said you'd have a conversation and you're nervous, have it anyway, even if it comes out imperfect. The habit of honoring your word matters more than flawless execution, because your future depends far more on what you finish than on what you start. High achievers are not just people with big ideas, they are people who consistently do what they said they would, who treat their own promises with seriousness even when no one is watching. You don't need more goals, you need more completion. You don't need more motivation, you need to carry yesterday's words into today's actions. Each time you follow through, you sharpen your focus, reduce mental noise, and strengthen the identity of someone who can be counted on. Each time you break your own word, you move in the opposite direction. So look at what you told yourself yesterday you would do. If it's still undone, stop explaining and just go handle it. That one act of follow-through is how you rebuild integrity, how you convert potential into progress, and how you become the kind of person whose words actually mean something, especially to yourself.
Showing up is only the first step. What truly creates change is the quality of effort you bring when you arrive, because there is a huge difference between being present and being fully engaged. Many people do the work on paper. They go to the gym, sit at their desk, attend the meeting, but spend most of that time distracted, half-hearted, and mentally somewhere else, then wonder why nothing in their life changes. Motion is not the same as progress. Just checking boxes is not the same as building something. It's not simply how long you spend on something that matters, but how deeply you focus and how sincerely you try. A lazy 2-hour session is worth less than a locked-in 30 minutes. A day of half energy produces frustration, not growth. When you constantly give only enough effort to say, I did it, but not enough to be proud of it, you slowly lower your own standards and get used to living below your capability. Over time, that becomes your identity, someone who coasts, someone who does the minimum, someone who never sees what they're really capable of. But when you choose to give full, honest effort, to train with intensity, to work with concentration, to study with attention, to show up in conversations with presence, you wake up a different side of yourself. You feel tired in a good way, knowing you actually used your energy instead of wasting it. You start to see concrete results, better quality work, stronger body, sharper skills, deeper relationships. You also build a different kind of confidence, not the shallow feeling that comes from praise, but the quiet strength of knowing, I did not cheat myself today. Giving full effort doesn't mean grinding until you're broken. It means that whatever you choose to do, you do it like it matters. You don't treat your own goals casually.
You stop hiding behind routine and start treating each task as a chance to practice excellence. Your gut always knows when you held back and when you really gave what you had. If you want to feel proud instead of restless, stop accepting half effort from yourself. Raise your standard. If it's worth doing at all, it's worth doing with real attention and real care. That simple shift from going through the motions to giving full effort can transform ordinary days into days of real growth and put you on a level most people never reach. Excuses are the first warning that you're about to waste your day, and the most dangerous part is that they usually don't sound like excuses. They sound reasonable. I'm tired, I'll do it later. Today's not the right day. It's okay to skip just this once. These thoughts whisper in a soft, logical tone, but if you accept them without question, they quietly take over your actions. You rarely lose momentum in one big crash. You lose it one excuse at a time, one small delay, one skipped task, one postponed decision, until your whole day has slipped by. The mind is clever. It convinces you that you need rest when you haven't really worked, that you're confused when you actually know what to do, that you must wait for a better moment that never arrives. That voice is not your strength talking. It's your fear and comfort talking, trying to protect you from effort, discomfort, and possible failure. You cannot afford to let that voice speak uncontested. Discipline begins when you start challenging your excuses in real time. The moment you hear later, you ask, is that true, or am I just avoiding the work? When you think, I'm not feeling it, you respond, do I really need to feel it to do it? You don't have to fight with yourself for hours. You just have to build the habit of not automatically believing every thought that tells you to slow down or stop. The cure for excuses is action, not more thinking. If your mind says, don't work out, put on your shoes and walk anyway. If it says, you're too tired to start, open the file and do 5 real minutes. Once you move, the lie inside the excuse becomes obvious, and the next time that same line shows up, it's a little weaker. The more often you act in the face of resistance, the more you rewire your default response from avoidance to action. You don't have to eliminate excuses forever. You just have to starve them by refusing to feed them with obedience. Over time, you'll notice a shift. Where you once lost whole mornings to hesitation, you now catch yourself quickly and move. Where you once believed every soft story your mind told you, you now answer with, I'll do it anyway. That is how you reclaim your day, your progress, and your power, by challenging excuses before they grow strong enough to run your life.